Hello, and welcome to another edition of All or None according to Jack. As you can see, I have a very special guest again tonight, Rick LaBonte. Rick LaBonte has been on this show before. I love to have Rick on. He's very insightful and has a lot of great things to say about music. So, how you doing, Rick?
Very well, my friend. How you been?
Very good. How's the album sales going?
Oh yeah, it's going steady, and yeah, I've got 9 songs been played out of 24 on the radio. Working on some planning on some videos for to support some of the songs I got out there, and I just been on the 519 magazine this month. With that's kind of cool when you got your name on the same cover of Slash and you got Jethro Tull,
Oh,
right?
that's
That's pretty
cool.
cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And yeah, so I've been getting some good interviews, good reviews. It's been pretty positive. Anybody
Awesome.
want to get an album, just gotta go ricklabonte.com.
Yeah, what I'll do is at the end of this, when I put our video up, I'll put your website down in the
Sure.
comment section so everybody can see it. And what I saw on Facebook where you signing autographs at that autograph table, that was very cool. It's like I have royalty on my show tonight.
Well, it's been pretty positive feedback, and yeah, and yeah, it's been great that people want it and they ask for sign it. And yeah, if anybody do buy a CD on my website, and whatever order you want, if you want it signed, let me know. If you just want the signature, let me know. If you want me to address it to you, I do that. I'll do both.
Awesome, great. So I think by now everybody knows what our topic is going to be this evening. Rush, yes. Yeah, I was looking for something similar to that, and then this background caught my eye, and I loved it. And unfortunately, the word rush got cut off the top of mine a little bit, and I didn't really have time to fix it. So it is what it is, but I think everybody gets the gist of it. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our top 20 Rush songs. And for Rick, what Rick is going to do, he's going to give us 20 down to 11. Then I'm going to give you my 20 down to 11. And then once we get to our top 10, we're going to toggle back and forth till we get to our number one song.
Sure.
And may I preface this by saying this was very hard to do. Rush has so many great songs. I was listening to them today, and I'm like, oh man, if I could only fit, you know, X song and Y song, and you know, you know how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough. I mean, they got 5 decades worth of music, right? And so, and every decade is a different style of Rush, and they all have, something that fans follow and love. And to put that in the top 20, it's hard. And I know that some of the songs could change the order in any given time, but I try not to overthink it. I'm thinking, if I were trying to take my son or my family member to see a Rush concert and I could write the ultimate set list, I wrote 20 songs that I think they need to hear to walk away with the education of Rush to some degree, right? And that's how
Right.
I approach it because it's
That's
hard because I
smart.
like a lot of albums and I like certain songs for other reasons, but there are some songs that are just mandatory to be mentioned, and I think I got that in my top 10. So let me start. So we're going from 20 to 11, right?
Correct.
So obviously, I knew I had to give a little bit of love of the 90s because I did like some of the stuff they did with Counterparts and Test for Echoes. And there's a couple of songs there that are worthy of mention. Could I made it all 20 songs of the 70s? I could. I could do just a handful of my favorite is the 80s is from, Permanent Wave to Moving Pictures is like the two of my favorite albums, right? I could just say, yeah, let's, but to be fair and show a little bit of what Rush is about, I'm going to try to expand it as much as I could. So I'm going to start with, um, I had Driven as in Dreamline on tie for 20, and I'm going to go with Driven for today. And
Okay.
that's on the Test for Echoes, and that's another good tune. And the next one would be for 19 is Nobody's Hero. That's another. What I like about that song is it's a catchy chorus, and this is where they were learning that, like they learn from moving pictures, that people like some hard rock rush, but they like that accessibility, but they love that adventurous part of them. And I think this song kind of capture that flame that they once had from the 80s. Because then you know what happened in the mid 80s on, they went to the synthesizers and a lot of experimentation. And so some people felt that where's that big guitar that we loved from the 70s? It returned in the 90s. And so this album was a good album. And so it's worth mentioning. So Nobody's Hero. 18 would be Animate. I love that tune. That's the first song of Counterparts we're rocking. 17, we're getting back to the favorite period of Rush for me, the 70s. 17 would be Passage to Bangkok from the
Nice.
2012. I love that tune. I love the riff. And again,
I
the
like the
accessory.
live version better, actually.
Yeah, I agree. That's a very good version. It's got more power behind it, and it's just, yeah, I agree. Good point. And then number 16, it's not because there isn't better songs than this that they have, but this is one of those songs that, because of my youth, um, that I want my kid or my family member to hear this live one time or another because it's just that catchy and Fly By Night. And
Okay.
there's one of those songs that was just I shut off the radio and that chorus would be playing till I hear something else. So that would continue. Number 15 would be The Trees. I just think it's intelligent lyric, the whole concept of the trees and how the solidarity, it's almost like you got to
Yeah.
organize like a union or something like that. It's pretty
My only thing
metaphoric.
is, I wish they talked about more trees other than oaks and maples.
Yeah. But anyway, it was trying to point out a class division sort of thing using the trees
No.
and all fighting for the sunlight, that just like the capitalist system is for us
Yeah.
trying to fight for the money, the change that we get from the rich. So it's pretty cool concept, but I love the music and
Yeah.
the song. I love Prague, so it's one of the best records for that. And then 14, I love it because not only did I read the book, watch the movie called Jacob Ladder, but before I watched all
Mhm.
that and read that, that song was so cool. And I just thought it was like, felt like I was watching a motion picture movie in my mind, hearing that music, the way it goes, dun 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 dun, building this drama. And that Getty can pull off with his delivery. And of course, Neil's incredible lyrics. That's a great tune.
No.
And then 13 would be I have to go somewhere in the 80s, right? And I went with the distant early warning from Grace Under Pressure. That's a pretty good tune. I like that one. Reminds me of the time and just like the video of the video game. When you're a kid in the early 80s, playing all these things from Space Invaders, Centipede, all these, which is dinosaur arcade game comparing what they got today. But I remember that music playing in the jukebox or in the scenery all the time. You heard Rush was for the arcade, man, for sure. And Distant Early Warning is one of those memories for me. Number 12, um, this is not a song I need to hear live when they played back in the day because I've heard it do a couple times, and it seemed to be a real big crowd uh, favorite, and it's maybe considered Safi, but I think it's such a melodic tune and creative of how he sang it, and the lyrics are so uncanny. It's not really that. It shouldn't be that catchy, and I'm talking about Closer to the Heart. I think it's a great tune, even with the fact that with the chimes and the bells and all the changes they do, it's just awesome. I've always loved music that in 4 or 5 minutes they took you so many places. Even something simple as "Band on the Run" from Paul McCartney. It starts off
Yeah.
here, then they're picking it up here. Next thing you know, it's a big chord. Then so it's just like this song. It starts off with that melodic acoustic beginning, and next thing you know, they boom, the band's in full motion, and yet the time signatures changes dramatically, but it doesn't feel like it does.
Right.
Maybe because we heard it so many times, it just fit. But it's just that good, eh? And it's one of those gems on the album that a lot of people buy, but they're like confused about the rest of the album because it's not all like that. And then come to my 11 would be Anthem.
Nice.
Anthem from the Fly By Night opening.
Okay, we might be hearing about that one in a little while. That
All
yeah,
right.
that is a killer riff. Love it.
Yes, it's incredible. I mean, there's more than that, but those songs are something I would want my family member, if I were taking them to Rush before they pack it in, I want them to hear some of this stuff.
Oh, well, great. Well, thank you for that. That's a great list. And okay, so to mine. Now this was very difficult, and I'll tell you why. You have your group of people that say, "Oh, why didn't you pick songs from their later period?" and yada yada yada. So I did try to be respectful to their later period. Unfortunately, the later period is more at the bottom of my list, whereas their core stuff, the stuff that I love that I grew up with, that's going to be make up, my better part of the list. So
Me too.
it is
It's
what
the
it is.
same way.
Yeah.
I'm the
So
same way.
number 20 is actually the one song off of Clockwork Angels, Headlong Flight. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. That was on there too for me, and I was like, ah.
Right,
But to be honest, I didn't have as much history like those other songs,
right.
and that's the
But,
only reason why.
but I
But
love
that's a
that
great
rhythm.
album.
That just, yeah, so cool.
And that was a great way to go, right? Like if you're gonna have your last album, that was a great swan song moment for them.
Right.
Good tune, buddy.
Thanks. So my number 19 is off of Signals, Analog Kid. Another great song. You know, after the two hit songs that on Signals, the fact that you have a third song that's just so powerful on that album, it's great. So,
Hmm.
made my 19. So, my number 18, shame that I couldn't make this any higher. This is off of Fly By Night, Bytor and the Snow Dog. That's
Good song.
Yeah, 8 minutes, and you know what? I just got into it recently, and I just love the way without any introduction, they just go right into it, almost like a surf song, and for like the first couple of minutes, and then they go into their little interludes, and really cool song. So, you'll find that I don't have that many long epics of Rush, but I do have a few, and that's kind of a medium length epic. So 17, another song, I think this is from the 90s, off of Roll the Bones, Dreamline, which you mentioned.
Yes, that was in the type for Driven, and I was like, oh, that's a great one.
I just love that. Do, 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 do. Yeah,
Me too.
yeah,
Great bass line.
yeah. 16, you already mentioned off of Grace Under Fire, Distant Early Warning. Uh, you know, uh, the world weighs on my shoulders. Oh,
Yeah. Me too.
yeah. Um, and so that's one of those songs that I got introduced to while I was at New Paltz with Pete, and we had the station in the Hudson Valley, WPDH, and they would play that a lot. So that one stuck
Mhm.
with me. Number 15, uh, off of also from that period, off of Hold Your Fire, Force 10. I love that. Yeah, that in the beginning. That's just
Mhm.
really cool for me. 14 off of Power Windows, Manhattan Project. Love that song. That nice slow ballad sounding in the beginning, and then it picks up. But the mixture of keyboards and synths, and yeah, good stuff. 13 also from that period, off of Grace Under Pressure. You have Red Sector A.
Nice.
Yeah. 12, something that everybody's very familiar with, off of Signals, Subdivisions. And
Good
then
tune.
number 11, so Rick and I spoke this morning via text, and Rick said that he had 20, and I had only had 15, so I had to grab a bunch more. And this one, and I'm like, wait a second, this can't be in my lower quadrant. I got to raise this up a little bit. So I raised this to number 11, 2112.
Nice.
Yeah. Not much you can say about that. It's basically the whole one side. And I love the first 5 minutes, Temples of Searings, and then it goes to that waterfall, and then it goes in a lot of different directions before it winds up into a nice crescendo at the end.
Nice.
So that's my 20 through 11. So you're
All
number
right.
10, Rick.
So we're going back to back now?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that. So I'm going on number 10. So this one, okay, now I had notes in brackets because I was doing it. I literally, because I couldn't make up my mind, had to toss a coin on that. Farewell, farewell to the Kings or Xanadu. Which one I like better than that? I knew I had to mention them because they were screwed. This was when we only had 10 when we were first talking, and then so I flip it and then it became a farewell to the Kings.
Okay.
So that's my number 10. What's
Sure.
yours?
Very nice. So it's the title track, Farewell to Kings.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. That
No,
whole
it's a great
classical
song, but
beginning.
unfortunately, it couldn't make my list. But I think I have some other great choices. So my number 10 comes off of a very close album in, time proximity, Hemispheres. You
Nice.
have a couple off of Hemispheres. This one is a 9 minute uh, instrumental, which I think you know very well, and I just love Geddy's bass playing, and the drums are to die for. I'm talking La Villa Strangiato.
It's an amazing song.
Yeah.
Amazing. I knew that would be predictable for me to do stuff like that, and I figured, well, there's already a couple. I have another drum solo bit and instrumentals I have in mind, so I figured I wasn't gonna have two on the list. And then when you gave me 20, that's it, 21 for my honorable mention.
Oh, okay.
So that was cool. My next one is number 9, something you mentioned already, and it's an epic. It's from Fly By Night by Tor and the Snow Dog.
Nice. Okay.
That I like the album version. I also love that live version too, and it's just cool the imagination that they did to put that little minute mini rock opera or whatever they did in that little bit. It's great. I love it.
The fact that they did it on their second album, I just think that what amazed me about Rush, here they are in their early part of their career. They were opening for Kiss, and here they are. They're musically so superior. I mean, they're like light years ahead of anything Kiss ever did. So it was good to see their
Yeah.
evolution.
Well, Chris is a rock band, and they wanted to be, accessible. Where Rush were listening to bands like Yes and Genesis, and they were listening to Led Zeppelin and the Who. So they were kind of soaking it on as a sponge, and they made their own rock, progressive rock.
Yeah,
So it's amazing.
right.
Yeah. So my number 8.
Oh
Oh,
no,
yours.
we didn't get to my nine yet. But
Okay,
I'll be
sorry.
very quick. There's not much you have to talk about for my nine. It comes off of Moving Pictures, Limelight. It's
Nice.
it's a song that has stuck with me forever. I just love that riff in the beginning. That it's so positive, upbeat. Great
Yeah.
song. It's a
It's
song that.
mandatory.
What's that? Yeah.
It's mandatory. It had to be in our top 10. I mean,
Right.
how can you not? Because it's so damn catchy, right? It's
Yeah.
one of the strongest melodic songs, and yet the music is just as impressive as the melody.
So go
That goes
ahead.
to my same album. I'm going in 8 is YYZ or
Nice.
YYZ if you're in another part of the world.
That's one of those songs
YYZ.
I tried to fit and I couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's okay. You cover the other one from Hemisphere, and I got that one. It's just fascinating that it's basically like a Morse code or whatever it was, right? And basically from an airport, and YYZ is the station at the Toronto airport, and just the fact that they duplicated that music and made a masterpiece, drum epic. Everybody shines on that, and to think it made when you had the moving pictures, it's the perfect album. But that one was the perfect side when you put on the first song all the way through. And with YYZ being an instrumental, you would think that would be will be the curveball or wouldn't make it perfect, but it doesn't. It actually enhanced the
Oh,
whole
without a
the
doubt.
whole thing. So it's really incredible, and it's amazing that people look forward to hear that live as much as they want to hear a hit, right? And that's an instrumental. That's pretty impressive.
Okay, very cool. So my number eight is another very popular song. However, just letting everybody know that I did try to dig into the deeper tracks, and as we get down my list, we do have a few deeper tracks that I've grown to really love. But it's from their classic period, uh, and just so everybody knows that I try to capture the essence of this band, and this is I'm actually working on coming up with a top 15 of Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and I'm trying to do the same with them eventually, hopefully sooner rather than later. But so anyway, my number eight is off of Permanent Waves, the kickoff track, Spirit of Radio. I just
Nice.
love that playing that intro that Alex Lifeson does. That's just amazing. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, that
Oh yeah.
first time I heard that, I was like captivated.
Yeah, and that was my gateway to Rush. Hearing that song for the first time, I was roller skating, and we have a roller skating place called Wheels, like your roller skate wheels, and then you just go. And as a kid, they used to play, the Foreigner and all the bands that were happening back then in the '80s. And when they throw that Rush, any song from uh, that album or Moving Pictures,
Yeah,
it demanded everybody on the floor. So it's cool.
yeah,
Um, so my number seven is from the first record, and it's Working Man. And I know it's like, oh man, they've got more complex songs than that. But to me, that was I know that was their gateway to get famous. It was played in Cleveland and help them get through. People thought they were the next Led Zeppelin coming up with a song like that. But to me, I would have been a blue collar worker most of my life, and so I just think that's a great theme song.
oh yeah,
And I also love the music, and it's like a mini concert for a first album. That was an impressive way to showcase your band,
yeah.
guitar
Great
wise
extended
and
jam. Yeah,
singing wise, and
no
the drum.
question. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to give that list. Now, are there more sophisticated songs, especially when that song doesn't have Neil on it? But I'm thinking that that is a mandatory in the top 10 because without Working Man, we would not have Rush today.
Yeah,
That's like Led Zeppelin don't put out Dazed and Confused or Whole Lot of Love. We would not hear Cosmo.
right.
Right? You wouldn't hear all the tunes that we love near and dear if it wasn't for Working Man.
Well, as Pete says, we will discuss that more.
All right.
All
More
right.
of that later.
Yep. So my number seven is off of Moving Pictures. It's song number two, Red Barchetta. I just I love the whole concept of of a sports car hidden somewhere for for his uncle gives him, and he has to go out to the countryside to get it, and it's a sports car that's been hidden in a garage under a under a tarp, and and do 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 do. That
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole it was genius the way Neil Peart put the lyrics together with with the that music. It was just
Hmm.
great job. Love that song.
Well, I'm going to do that too. More of that later. How about that? Okay, so moving on. My next one is going to be um, Free Will.
Oh, good song. Very good song. Yeah,
Yes, I just love that, and I love what it's about, what it represents lyrically, but also what they do to that song. It's very catchy. I loved it.
awesome. Okay, well, hopefully my dog's not making too much noise, but I'm sure you can hear her.
We're getting near the end.
Yep. Okay, my number six, and this mine goes back to the first album as well. We'll actually be visiting the first album a couple times, but this song, first album, Finding My Way. That is just a killer riff in the beginning. It-
Definitely deserve to be mentioned. Just what
yeah,
an opener for any album would
yeah,
do. Any band.
And that's
Nothing.
where they got their, their moniker in the early days, Led Zeppelin Light. It's that song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right on.
So,
Okay, well, my what is number five, right, is Tom Sawyer. I have to put it in there, and it would probably be like my number one song back when I was a kid. But over the years, I've heard it so much. You just start talking about it, and I hear it in real time, note for note. But it's still gonna be in my top five. You can't. It's such a wow factor tune that I can't ignore how catchy and brilliant that was. And the drumming's so fantastic. The guitar tone, just the whole song, incredible, adventurous song. And it's mandatory. If Russ don't play that live in concert, people will be walking away feeling very disappointed. And it's their main song for a lot of people. But for me, I can't deny how great that is. Even though some people may say, maybe I don't need to hear that anymore. I hear it so much. I still like it. If I'm in my car and I pulled in my driveway, I wait till the song's over before I get out.
that's cool. Well, but I actually saw Deep Purple once, and they didn't play "Smoke on the Water," if you could believe that.
No.
Yeah, that's a little difficult. I mean, it was a great concert, but didn't have that cake topper at the end. So, or
Huh.
cherry on top, if you will. But in any event, so my number five comes off the album "Caress of Steel." This is a song that has always gravitated to me ever since I heard it on the first live album. What's it? All the World's a Stage, I think. Uh, the first kickoff track, Bastille Day. I just Another great killer riff in the beginning. I love it.
Great. So
It's
heavy
a
metal
song that I think that doesn't get the respect that it deserves. I think.
It was number 22 for me, and reason being, it's such a heavy metal track for that
Right.
band at that time. That was a really hard rocking tune. It has so much metallic in it. Oh, I appreciate it a lot too, but that didn't make my that. I wouldn't feel like the fans would be ripped off if they didn't hear that song, but it's a great one.
Right.
So my next one is number four is Limelight.
All right. There you go.
I have to have that song in there, and just like you said it for all the good reasons. It's catchy. It's a great song, and it's a perfect timing. It's never too long, not too short. It's just the way it gotta be, and it's just a perfect track, and belongs on one of the perfect albums.
All right. Very cool. Great song. So my number four is one that you already mentioned, and yeah, and I, I'm guilty as charged. It seems like most of the songs at the top of my list are these like real heavy anthems, and with these killer riffs. And my number four is Anthem off of
Yeah,
Friday Night.
I had it on my list too. You can't deny that song power.
Right.
It's. I'm glad you did that. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, right on. So we're going number three. Uh, this is another repeat. We already mentioned this, but this is high in my list because of the storytelling nature, like you mentioned. It's so catchy, and it hasn't been overly played on the radio when you think of this powerful album, Moving Pictures. Uh, Red Barchetta, like you said. I love that tune.
Nice.
I love the way it builds up and all the time signature, and then so catchy, and it's a great song.
Yeah. Love the story that it tells. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you know what that is incredible songwriting when you can captivate the listener, want them to follow to the end. Got this ear candy music to back it up, and it's so many moving parts here that's so brilliantly conducted. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a high on the list for me.
Okay. Very cool. So number three is one we haven't really talked about yet. This one is off of Hemispheres, and this is probably one of my deeper tracks, Circumstances. I love
Great.
Circumstances. That I just love where it's like it feels like he's playing against himself. Da 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 da. Yeah, That I love that playing that he's doing there.
Yeah.
And again, the lyrics are great. You know,
Mm.
triggered by circumstances. Yeah,
Very, very
great singing on
incredible.
that
It's
song.
so hard to sing.
Yeah,
Um, Yeah, when they recorded that album, they said it in the pit. They were just thinking about the music and then writing the lyrics. They never really exercised the vocal melody. Holy crap, dude! I got to really hit there. And so he really had his work cut out for him. And they almost burnt out because of that album was so demanding. But the fruit of the labor definitely paid off because that's a masterpiece. Good
oh,
choice, brother. That is actually sitting 24 on my list. I went pretty far. When we had a couple of weeks, it was kind of hard. I just kept writing on a bunch of songs that I know, and then I had to say, okay, do I like that one better? And just kind of shuffle them in an order that which one you like better. And coming to number two for me, and it's the epic. It's 2112. The
all
whole
right.
thing, and I love it. And I love. I mean, when I was a kid, and I heard that on a cassette first, and I was like, "Wow!" Couldn't believe that opening, that whole opening part right to the into tempo right before they get to discovery, all those other parts in the song. Man, I was just amazing that these guys wrote that. You know, that whole overture of how everything went down. And so to me, that was mind boggling. And to me, still to this day, I think that's still one of the finest hour. You
Yeah.
know, and it was a make or break situation if you know the history like you do.
Yes, yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah,
That's one of the reasons I made sure it was in my list. Yeah.
yeah, because at the point where the label was like, you're not giving us hits, and you're
Yeah.
running, they're on a one more album contract, and they said, we're gonna go down swinging, we're gonna do it our way,
What they
and
did
if we
was
do it
very
our way,
rock and roll, and I applaud them for that.
right on,
Absolutely.
me too, right
Yeah.
on,
And there's one line that they say it. So any time anybody bullies or anybody pisses me off, I always sing this one line. And the meek shall inherit the earth. Love that.
that's great.
So my
All
number
right,
two.
what's your number two?
You already mentioned my number two, and it is Working Man.
Oh, right on,
Yeah. I just, it's a simple riff, but I love when they get into that jam, and for them to do that on their first album, again, touring with Kiss, who can't, was even then was incapable of doing anything like that, I thought was phenomenal. And, when these guys made it, they really deserved it.
right on.
Yeah.
Well, my number one is a song you mentioned already, and the reason why it's my number one, it's like I told you earlier, it was the very first time I ever heard Rush, and I was Speed of Radio.
All
That
right. Nice.
I feel like that whole tune represent that whole band, and when they go in that little reggae bit, and then the concert hall, and the lights goes up in the show, you hear the, it's just like the way you see it live. I just think that's just a perfect summary of what Rush was all about. The all that off time, even in the beginning, you know, damn, it's amazing. And for that, I remember being such a wow factor because this is where they brought the flanger guitar pedal to the music in that this time period, and you had all this music, and he had a little bit of keyboard, ding, 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 ding in the background, and it was like they threw everything into that little tune. And to me,
Yeah.
that grand finale type of song. It's just one of the songs that if you had to spell Rush in one song, Spirit of Radio does it. I
Yeah.
like many that we mentioned. The Working Man would cut it. So
Right.
would Tom Sawyer. But to me, because of the spirit of the radio, to me they had the spirit of radio when radio was king for me back in my 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Radio was really big before we got into satellite radio and internet. Spirit of radio, that was Rush.
Awesome. That's very cool. Now, I only saw them once in my lifetime. It was on the 2011 tour, and it was when they played Moving Pictures in its entirety, and they actually opened with Spirit of Radio. But that was very cool. You know that and everything else they played. They gave us the one song "Caravan" off of Clockwork Angels. Uh, then about after the intermission, they gave us moving pictures start to finish, and it didn't matter that people knew what was coming. They were still like ultra pumped with every song the start of the new song. So,
Right on. Well, I've seen Russ many times in concert. As you can imagine, they're Canadian icons here. In
yeah.
fact, I got every DVD they ever put out. You
Ah,
know,
right.
hold on. Here, show and tell in a second.
Yeah.
And I got a file cabinet full of stuff of Russ. Let's see.
Oh,
You
okay.
want to go see, get concert stuff, the
Yeah.
three concerts called the Relay, the 30th
That one I
anniversary,
have. The
and
the R30. Yeah.
Rush and Rio.
Oh,
We got
nice.
Rush Time Stand Still. We
I
got
have to get another
Rush
one
on
for you.
40 Live. I have a
Wow.
secret that I picked it up. Clockwork Angel Tour.
Nice.
Live in Time Machine. That's the one that you were talking about.
Yup.
And then they also have the Live in Cleveland. I got that in my DVD
Wow.
player. And Beyond the Lightest Days, the whole documentary about how
Nice.
Rush became Rush. So you got to check that out.
Okay. Yeah, well, that I've seen. I think that's on Netflix. So I have
Okay,
seen it.
cool.
But yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to avail myself of a few more of those. But that's very cool. So anyway, my number one, they did not play that night, and
Oh no.
it's okay. It's all good because you know what? They gave me a lot of, it was over $110 at that time, just for where I sat, but it was worth every penny. So no regrets here.
And your
Uh,
number one is?
my number one is off of A Farewell to Kings, Xanadu.
Great. That was the remember I flipped the coin on that one.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
But
And
for me, that epitomizes everything that they were all about. You got that nice little soft opening in the beginning, the birds chirping, and do 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 do, and and then it gets a little heavy in the middle, and you got all the different sections and time signature changes. It's just amazing. What more can
what
I
I
say?
learned from reading the book that Martin Popoff wrote, and I'll show them in a second, that the birds are actually they record that outside.
Nice.
Yeah, right out in they're in UK at the time,
Oh wow.
Scotland if I'm correct, and they were recording outside, and so the birds got into the tracking. Yeah,
Cool.
so that's your number one.
That is my number one. Yep. And Rick is going off screen for a minute. It looks like he's trying to bring something to us, and if it's all
Yeah,
right,
well, I got the three
ah,
that I
there you
must have.
go. Nice.
There's the 70s of Rush anthem from Martin Popoff, and you can get that by going on his website,
Yeah.
martinpopoff.com. And then if you continue the story, because it's a three-part series, there's also Limelight, Rush in the 80s and everything. I mean, when you read this, not only because you got the interview from the guys, but you feel like you're a fly on a wall eavesdropping on everything because
So
it's
let me ask you this:
so
do you find his books to be very informative and with giving you information that you didn't know?
well, that's just what I just said, right? I mean, like you feel like you're privileged information, like you feel like you're a fly on the wall or eavesdropping on them because you get stuff that you're just not, the personal feelings about this and how the tug of war between management and what was going on with their careers and stuff. It's really great. And then of course the '90s right to the end called Driven, and how and Martin did a great job getting not only the boys' point of view, but the management point of view, people that work for him, see everything, and it's very consistent. And even the feedback with people from, people that toured with him. Mick Buck from Uriah Heep is mentioned. He talked in there. Gene Simmons is quoted in there. And there's a lot of people that rubbed shoulders with Russ from tours, got to know him. Like there's a Canadian band Mac Webster. after, and there's all kinds of series of events, and how they meet some of their idols along the way. When they finally meet, people like Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, and all their heroes, as they start to their careers start to take more, uh, you know, popularity and filling out arenas, and they describe the whole rag to riches, from living out of a van to living very comfortably near, most of their career. But that 70s to the early 80s, wow, if you didn't have the spirit, if you weren't driven, you wouldn't have able to cut it,
Um,
get to the finish line where they've finally been taken
that's
seriously. You think about 2112 was what, 1976, before they really started letting the whole world know that, hey, we're a force to be reckoned.
yeah, yeah. So I did have a conversation with Martin, a short text conversation last week, and there is a book that really interests me that he and Pete talked about. That Judas Priest picture book. That's got to be
Okay.
mine. Yeah. So
Well, those books are okay. This is the more. I mean, it had pictures, but this is more detailed interviews and what you're getting there is called a visual biography. So it shows you the timeline, but the photographs help do it. Sure, there's a lot of information inside, but
right.
doesn't mean it's all in personal interviews and stuff like that, and that in depth. But it still talks about every article, headlines, everything that's relevant to each of their career. In fact, I got the Uriah Heep book, and it's amazing.
Oh,
I've gone
you got the big. Is there
big
a
one.
big?
Oh yeah, oh
Oh,
yeah,
good,
oh
cool.
yeah,
We'll
oh
have to
yeah.
talk about that offline sometime. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's an incredible book, and just for the right reason. It talked about the whole timeline and the albums and some of the tours along the way, and it's a lot of photographs that some, let's face it, this stuff, in 10 or 20 years, people it would have been missing. It'd be like an artifact no one would ever discover. He's releasing it in print, so it's great. He's making sure some of these things stay alive. You know,
Oh, awesome. That's great. No, it definitely sounds like I'll be getting my money's worth when I buy that book. And then
Martin Ford
I'm
is
sure.
high class writer,
Oh,
really good at what he does.
yeah,
He's
I
very
can see it.
thorough.
Yeah.
Strongly.
And then I'm sure I'll be buying more. So
Oh yeah,
that's
that's the thing.
yeah,
Is it when is enough, right? Because
yeah,
they're all good.
right. Okay, very cool. Well, I would like to say thank you so much, Rick, for being on. And this was I thought I had fun with my discussion on Steely Dan last week, but this is even better. Of course, I love Rush, so it,
Hey, we felt the rush for Rush, right?
yes,
And
yep,
that's awesome.
yeah. It really gets your hair standing on the back of your neck when you get
It's
to their
amazing
top
how
song.
three people can make all that music. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like they do more than most bands of 5 or 6 people.
Oh
Let
yeah.
alone,
To me,
you know,
they're a super group. So
yeah, they were special. And as for Canadians like myself, it's definitely you know, they're definitely one of our biggest heroes.
oh, with no question, and well deserved. They're
All
one of my biggest heroes, and I'm American. So,
right. Well, thanks for the invitation, buddy.
oh, you're very welcome. This was a lot of fun, and we'll have to talk about some other ideas, musical ideas in time that we can collaborate on. So,
Sure.
uh, that being said, I'm gonna wish everybody a fond farewell for this evening. Um, Thank you very much. If you like what I do, please subscribe. Please write your comments in the comments section. If you're interested in Rick's CD, check it out. It's a really really quality, good, and and you're getting your money's worth. You're getting two CDs I mean, granted, it's like 20 and change or something.
$25 US.
25, but you know what? It's well worth it. You cover a lot of area in that, but mostly, standard hard rock, which I love. So,
That's right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. So, uh, I will say good night. Have a good one, everybody. Until my next video, Rick, have a good night. Thank you again,
Take
and
care.
we're out.